Hello and welcome to Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, for another video. And today it is time to discuss the biggest prize in club football, the UEFA Champions League. That is on the agenda today. That is what we're going to be discussing, and indeed really a trophy that has evaded us since 2015. We haven't won it since then, and we've really fallen off in quite catastrophic circumstances, especially when you think back to last season's exit against Roma. In today's video we are going to discuss the steps that Barca need to take as a team, as a club, and the players on the pitch. What we need to do to get ourselves back in the driving seat and take our place at the summit of European football once again. And a big thank you indeed for the video suggestion for this one. That's a big help to me, guys. Thank you for all of your suggestions. So sit back, relax. I hope you enjoy this one. We can do it. Let's talk the Champions League. And just to set the scene, guys, it's been an extremely difficult 3 years for Barcelona in the Champions League. If you've watched from afar, of course, if you're a Barcelona fan, you'll have been right in the heat of it. You'll have felt these 3 years very difficult. It has been since we won the trophy in Berlin back in 2015 under Luis Enrique, completing yet another historic treble. Those all look rosy times. It looked like we go from strength to strength, really, in the Champions League. But since then, we have crashed out in the next 3 Champions League campaigns at just the quarter-final stage. The quarter-final stage, that's all we've been managing. Something that simply is not good enough for a side that can count on the greatest footballer of all time. The quarter-finals, it's not enough. You think back to 2016 in our attempt to try to retain the trophy in what would have been then, for the first time in history, we fell well short in the quarter-finals against Atletico Madrid. We lost 2-0 in the decisive second leg at the Vicente Calderón. We couldn't break them down. We couldn't find a way past, and we fell very short indeed. In 2017, in Luis Enrique's final season at the club, Barcelona fell once again at the quarter-final stage, this time to again more resolute defending against Juventus. We suffered a humbling 3-0 defeat away from home in the first leg, and all of this of course coming after that historic comeback in just the previous round. Against Paris Saint-Germain, we made history, but we couldn't capitalise, we couldn't follow that up, we couldn't make that next step. And then speaking of dramatic comebacks, last season's crippling defeat, that second leg to Roma, is something that for me especially is still difficult to talk about. It's still difficult to talk about, to put it into words, what it was like on that night, flashing before our eyes. It was difficult. 4-1 up, of course, after the first leg, only to then go and lose 3-0 at the Stadio Olimpico to seal yet another quarter-final exit. Enough is enough. Something at this club, in this team, has to change. The mentality, the style, the belief when they go out there in the Champions League, something's got to give, and we are going to be discussing those steps, step by step, how we're going to get back to the top of European football. And my first point does revolve all around that kind of belief in the team. When you step up to the plate, when you go out there on a big European night, we have to recapture our Champions League confidence, our belief in having what it takes to go out there and win that trophy. And I would almost say in some ways, you have to adopt a bit of arrogance in our own style, in our own way of playing. Against Roma last season, in that second leg, you think back to it again, we lacked all of those kind of characteristics. We showed no confidence, we showed no belief in that second leg, we showed no character really, that we could dig ourselves out of that humbling defeat. We let them get the better of us, they went through to the semi-finals. We fell short, and it shouldn't be like that. We have the players, we have the individual quality, we have the collective quality and the experience to win this trophy, and we need to show that on a regular basis in the Champions League, and we've got to believe that too. For instance, you think about Real Madrid, consecutive winners over the past 3 years in the Champions League. Have they played the best football? I'd argue they probably haven't. Have they been by far and away the best team over the past 3 years? Again, we've seen in La Liga, it's simply not the case. But one thing they do have is spirit. They have big leaders in there, they have big characters that consistently drag them over the line when they desperately need it in those big moments. We have to have that too. We have to have that drive, we have to have that inner self-confidence to go out there, show that arrogance in what we can do. We know we can win it, we have the players to win it, we've got everything coming together. We just need to go out there, show that we belong at the top of European football, and that we're going to get there no matter who stands in our way. And my second point would be all about that crucial knockout stage period. You look at February, you look at March, when you've got the last 16, you've got the quarterfinals, and then as you go on, of course, the semi-finals and the final follow later. But it's getting past the quarter-final stage, which has been very, very difficult for us over the years. And after you've got that belief in yourself, after you've got that confidence, the next step for me is arriving to those knockout games, the last 16, the quarter-finals. Arrive there in your very, very best form. From February onwards, we need to be hitting the high notes. Valverde needs to have his team set up the right way. And you might think in some ways, you can't really influence when your team hits their best form. But actually, there are certain things that you can do to give yourself the best chance of that. For instance, I personally think that Ernesto Valverde should be entering those months, February, March, right the way up until May, those final months of the season. He should be entering those months absolutely clear on what his best team is. He should know his best players, he should know the core of that team, and he should know as well what his favoured system is. He should know everything like that going into those months. Because again, you think back to last season, I think there's times, we've gone 4-3-3 at the start of the season, and then right throughout the season, then it was mostly a 4-4-2. We didn't know whether we were playing defensive football, whether we were going to go and outright attack teams, and we seemed to be kind of caught in the middle. And that's what we saw in Rome, a team really that wasn't really sure of their identity. They didn't really know what direction to go in, and we got caught in the middle, and we got caught out big time. We need to know exactly what Valverde has in mind. He needs to have a plan, a formation that he sticks with, that he's consistent with, and it's not only the coach as well, it's the players that should be clear at that point. They should fully understand their roles in the team, they should fully understand the system, and most importantly, they need to fully understand what Ernesto Valverde is asking them to do on the pitch, and in those big moments, then they'll be confident because they believe in what they're doing, and that makes a massive difference. And the third point for me would actually revolve all around the Copa del Rey. Now, you might think that's a bit of a strange thing to bring into the Champions League argument, but of course, when you're talking about the Champions League, when you're talking about winning the Champions League, people automatically start talking about the treble, which includes winning the Copa del Rey, the league title, the Champions League, and whenever you're talking about the Champions League, it's always about the treble. But I think, first of all, that treble shouldn't be our obsession. It should be about the Champions League, it should be about the league title, and if the cup arrives, that's great, but it's not the be-all, end-all. The Copa del Rey is not of massive importance to us right now. I would certainly gladly take winning the league and the Champions League and losing out on the cup if it meant winning those two core trophies. But of course, Barça will start the season, they'll aim for all three, and if we're successful, it is a massive historic achievement, no doubt about that. But what we must start doing is putting less emphasis on the cup, because I believe personally that it's having actually a negative impact on our Champions League success. Because again, you think of January, you think of February, those two-legged Copa del Rey ties, they're killing us. It's as simple as that. They come thick and fast, the matches. You've got the round of 16, quickly followed up by the quarter-finals, and then you've got the semi-finals just after that. That is 6 matches at what is a crucial stage of the season, and that does, naturally take an awful lot out of your squad, and it does add a lot of congestion at a vital stage of the season to our fixture schedule. So overall, the cup is a good thing if we can add it brilliantly, but don't put too much emphasis on that treble, or in particular, winning the Copa del Rey every single season. And with that exact fact in mind, we head on to the fourth and final step in this Champions League video, and that is all about, for me, managing our squad to its full potential, which if you want to compete for the league and the Champions League, you simply have to use your squad wisely. You cannot go through the entire season using the same players over and over again. Nowadays, there's far too many games for that. There's far too many different demands on the players for that to be the case. So first of all, you have to have a good squad, which I feel actually this year we have good squad depth. We do. We have options in each position. I think we've done well over the summer. We've strengthened in defence, we've strengthened in midfield, and we've strengthened in attack to give Valverde some much needed options. And once you have the squad depth, it's all about using it then in the right way. And that means basically keeping every single member of that first team squad feeling important, feeling useful, and understanding their role in the team. Because you never know when you're going to need those players. You never know when you're going to have to count on them out of the blue, either due to injuries, suspensions, or simply in normal rotation. In the past, I think we've actually been guilty of looking at our squad depth, and actually alienating those rotational players because we haven't used them, we haven't put that trust in them, and when you do that, you can never rely on them, whether it'll be a big game or a small game. If they don't feel important, if they don't have that confidence of their role in the squad, they will not perform for you, and that's what you've seen in recent years. But now is the big step for Valverde, because like I say, I think we now do have that squad depth. We do have quality in a number of different positions. We brought in good players this summer. Now it's all about Valverde regularly incorporating those players into the first team squads, keeping them feel important, keeping them in the lineups, and if you do that, you raise everybody's everybody's game because of competition for places. Nobody is safe, everybody is battling to stay in that team, and come February, you'll have a lot of hungry players, a lot of driven players with a lot of motivation to go and play in those big games. We'll have a fresh squad come February, and then we will be ready to take on that crucial stage of the season and perhaps finally get our hands, 4 years of waiting, on the UEFA Champions League. So that is basically the lowdown on what I think Barcelona can change this season, what they need to do. Very vague on the face of it in terms of changing our fortunes in the Champions League. Because like I say, we do have the players. We've got some very talented players. We all know about that. But in recent years, something has simply not been right in the Champions League format. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. What do you think we need to do to change our fortunes this season? What drastic changes, or maybe not so drastic, do you think that we need to implement in the coming season? Do you trust on Valverde and these players to get the job done? Leave your predictions for the forthcoming campaign down in the comments below. I will see you soon with more videos, but until then, as always, Vasca el Barça!